All right, everybody. Welcome to our call today. I hope that you are excited for something new and refreshing. Like literally, I would say this call is a shake-up call. It's a shake-up, wake-up call. Okay. And so the title of it is kind of like that thing. It's press reset to profit. And I know that this is often the challenge that we find in the tech space. Like, hey, if your computer's not working, your phone's not working, you know what? Reset the dang thing. There's a challenge in our industry that is going on that you're going to be enlightened about today, and we're going to have to push that reset button. And to guide you there is my dear pal, Alexander Ford. Now, Alexander is a business coach and a consultancy CEO who challenges entrepreneurs like you and I to face a really hard truth, and that's that the marketing landscape is broken. And those clinging to these old influencer tactics and desperation plays are being left behind. Alexander guides clients to first principles, back to those first principles, creating strategies driven by the psychology and the science of behavioral change that work in today's saturated markets, which is so freaking important. Now, Alexander has been immersed in behavioral psychology and marketing science for over a decade, and he shares timeless principles with his clients who feel trapped in marketing quicksand. How many of y'all ever feel like you're kind of in that marketing quicksand? And Alexander's coaching delivers the clarity that we need as entrepreneurs to build a profitable marketing system. And so what it boils down to is for business owners, solopreneurs, whatever you want to call yourself, like you and I, we're getting contradicting advice and random results. And when you're caught up in that kind of a downward spiral, I would say, Alexander comes along and offers something genuinely valuable: the mastery of the science of behavioral change and the skills to create measurable campaigns that will actually convert. So without further ado, let me bring up my dear pal, brother from another mother, Alexander Ford. Alexander, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for putting this together. This is going to be a lot of fun.
My pleasure.
Ready? Shall I just jump right in?
Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to remove myself from the spotlight and give you the stage.
Amazing. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you. And thank you, Michael, for putting this together. As he mentioned, today I want to talk to you about what it looks like to press reset to profit. And you're going to hear as we go along what that means. It's not just a headline. I've been thinking through this very carefully. We've been testing it with our clients for now the last year or so, and it's built on a foundation of copywriting principles that, as far as I can tell, are more or less immutable, even though it looks at times like the market changes dramatically. There are principles that are timeless. Some of them I'm going to share with you today, and hopefully what's going to happen is you're going to be in a position when we're done today to completely transform how you've been thinking about what marketing is and what it means to be a marketer, and how you can apply timeless principles in a changing marketing landscape to reinvigorate some of the activities that you've been deploying, some of the actions you've been taking, and some of the strategies that you've been using to grow your coaching practice or your services business or whatever it may be. So the formal title for this presentation is, of course, Press Reset to Profit: How Smart Entrepreneurs Are Mastering First Principles to Get Ahead of Marketing's Next Wave. Opening a bit of a loop, the next wave is probably the most important part of this presentation. And so I want you to keep your eyes and your ears open for those two words showing up in themes throughout today's presentation, okay? So I want to quickly dig in some affirmations and some ideas that I want you to consider in identifying with today's content. So this presentation is for you if you feel stuck following a playbook instead of waking up being a strategic thinker. How many of you are like, I signed up to become an entrepreneur because I really want to use my prefrontal cortex and I'd really like to be proactive, and yet in the land of marketing, we find ourselves looking for the next checklist or the next playbook or the next paint by numbers strategy that someone has offered us, and we feel like we're behind waiting for someone else to innovate, when in reality, we signed up for this because we really want to be the strategic thinker behind our business. Or you're following formulas and templates when you want to be a powerful creator. This is not a hyperbolic idea. I literally believe that we each can become powerful creators, and that in fact building a life from the foundation of identity of powerful creator is far more effective in getting us what we want, and yet it's challenging sometimes to wake up in the morning and feel like we are in fact producing that result. And so again, my goal during this presentation is to help step into that identity. Maybe you think that you are having no choice but to react to market changes, but like, again, you signed up for this to set the pace. And so if you're not feeling like you're the pace setter, then this presentation is definitely for you. Or you find yourself constantly pivoting instead of building something predictable. Like maybe this month I should do a webinar, or maybe I need to run a social media challenge, or maybe I need to, I don't know, create a VSL, like people's attention spans don't work anymore. Like, what's the deal? And so we're pivoting from tactic to tactic instead of building a predictable lineup of interested leads over time. Or you're busy chasing trends when you want to master principles that always work. So all of these are the same theme, just different variations. I'd love for you to pick one that identifies most strongly with you, and just hold on to that for the duration of today's presentation in thinking about how we apply the content. So over the next 2 hours, hopefully less, I'm going to do my best to talk quickly, but in a way that you get to digest everything that I'm saying. I'm going to push, so hopefully we'll get you out of here. But let's say over the next 2 hours, I want to help unlock the ability to attract high-quality clients consistently, and I want to take being sleazy and manipulative off the table. One of the things that people think about when they think of marketing is I'm going to be manipulating people into doing something they don't want to do by hiring me. I want to help you reframe that such that you feel in integrity, that you feel truly that you're helping people get what they want, and that the path to helping them get what they want involves you following a carefully structured strategy of communication such that they find inside themselves their own truth, and they ultimately end up becoming capable of transformation, and therefore purchasing your product or service is the most likely and the most logical next step, such that they now feel like, hi, buying Liz's product is exactly what I want to be doing. Okay, that's where we want to be at the end of the presentation. And in order to get there, I'm going to teach you the key underlying idea that unlocks the unlimited potential in all of the existing marketing strategies you've deployed in the past. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is reassure you that everything you've done so far has not been a waste, okay? We're going to build on it. All of the people that you've learned from, all of the strategies that you've tried, all of the tactics that you've deployed, all of the technology you've built that you may feel hasn't worked for you quite the way you'd like, or it hasn't produced a profit in your business in the way that you desired, what you're going to learn today is going to empower those existing strategies, okay? So I'm not taking a horizontal step and asking you to throw everything else away. I'm not saying everyone else is stupid, so you should trust me, bro, right? I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that there are more universal principles. There are deeper ideas that we can deploy as marketers, and I'm going to share that with you today. And it's going to take the form of the science of behavioral change, and you're going to end up being able to apply that both in your own life as an entrepreneur, but also into your marketing and into your client communication and into your marketing communications, such that they become the customer that you would love to serve, and you find yourself having a lineup of people who are really desiring of your help. Now, that's the preface, okay? Preamble is finished. This is the context. I do want to lay out some rules of the game, okay? You've all decided to be here. We're going to spend a couple hours together. I have these 4 requests for you, and I'm going to be reasonably direct. And for those of you who know me, this should not be a surprise. For those of you who don't, hopefully you will find that this comes from a loving place. I just want to be very pointed about this. If you choose to stay on the call, I'm soliciting your agreement that you will be present, that you will participate, that you will play all in on this conversation, this potentiality for transformation, this crucible inside which you may gain new perspective, new insight, and new revelation that you can then deploy to your business. And with all of that in mind, be ready to change. And in particular, I do have one request for you. If you're on this call and you don't have your webcam on, please turn it on if you're willing, if you're in a context and an environment that allows for it. Getting to interact with you and see you is a big part of what will make this a meaningful experience for me, but also it will help me to understand what's landing, what's not landing, and offer clarification or take a pivot in how we're discussing these ideas to serve you best, okay? Now, this is a big promise that I have for you. I am going to prove to you that there is in fact a science that you can learn to attract new customers? How many of you have felt at times that like the key to winning in marketing is to find a unicorn? Some unicorn idea or some unicorn purpose or person to show up in your world and give you the answer, okay? And that is not a science, okay? Finding a unicorn who has the answer is not a science unless that unicorn shows you a science. And so I guess in that regard, I might be the unicorn. I'm not appropriately dressed for that identity today. But at the end of the day, I want to demonstrate to you that there are timeless and universal principles in how people transform, in how people make decisions, and in how people act on what it is that they want. And that marketing in and of itself is the deployment of those principles into the mind of your prospects such that they become the person who purchases what it is that you're selling, okay? And I believe so strongly in the transformation that this creates that I have begun to transform my entire life around this idea. I've spent the last 10 years building a marketing agency in Calgary, Alberta. We've invested in every manner of funnel and technology and strategy that you can imagine. So I believe in this so strongly, I'm actually transforming my whole life around it. I've spent my whole life as an entrepreneur. I've built a marketing agency for the last 7 years-ish. We've been a totally integrated marketing services business for coaches and entrepreneurs, meaning we have a team of people who are capable of handling everything from the CMO level strategy to the technology and infrastructure, like the automation systems in your Entreport account or your Keep account or your Active Campaign account, copywriters to write all the copy, video editors to create and edit the video for either your website or for your funnels or for your ads. We've been developing all of our client funnels in terms of their pages and their like basically everything that goes into acquiring a client from the market. If it means, running the media buying all the way through to executing on fulfilling the membership programs or the coaching containers, we've done it. And I've done it hundreds of times or thousands of times for hundreds of clients. And over the course of that journey, I felt really compelled along the way to figure out what mattered, right? I wanted to rule out, is it Russell Brunson's perfect webinar script that matters? Is it the Active Campaign or Keep or Entreport or other form of marketing automation technology that matters? Is it the type of funnel we build that matters? Is it the landing page, button colors? Like what are the variables in this whole system or this whole marketing domain that really constrains our ability to create the revenue that we want to create? And what I discovered is that ultimately we have to execute on all of that stuff in order to play the marketing game. We have to do all of those things in order to be effective marketers, but 99% of that is not the constraining factor. What is the constraining factor is the science that we're going to discuss today and our capability as entrepreneurs to communicate into the mind and the story going on in the prospect such that we can help them take an action that comes from a place of how they see themselves and their identity and what it is that they want in their life. That is the fundamental constraint. And so when we ultimately decided that that was true for us, we've started to transform our world. We've shifted one step away from offering vertically integrated marketing services, and we've begun to really focus and specialize in on the direct response marketing, copywriting, and most importantly, transformational messaging that is necessary to help prospects become the person who wants to pull out their credit card. We've recently launched a coaching program that has focused on helping our coaching program participants become the marketer that executes on those strategies, and we've had amazing results so far. Every client that we've worked with has seen orders of magnitude better results than they've seen in the past just by making this one reasonably simple but sophisticated change in how they think about and approach their market. But before we get into that in detail, I want to transition and talk to you a little bit about the problem, okay? Ultimately, the reason you're on this presentation, the reason you signed up to attend this webinar is because you have a challenge in your business that you're wanting to solve. And some of you I've seen in rooms before, and some of you are new to me, but if all of you are coaches and entrepreneurs, I'm imagining that you're here because you're feeling like you have a marketing problem. Is it true that either I don't attract enough leads, I don't have big enough audiences, I haven't built a mailing list large enough, I don't know how to, in the way that I would love to be able to command, produce the result called have a full sales pipeline of ideal customers who want to buy my stuff, yes? Is that in some way a variation on why you're here. Yes, okay, great. And most people feel like the reason they're not making their money that they want to make, the reason they're not making the impact they want to make, the reason they're not creating the transformational experience or the impact in the world that they want to have is because there just simply aren't enough people who know that they can help them, right? So many coaches and entrepreneurs are feeling like I've got this amazing magic trick inside, and if only people just knew my capability to help, they would be lining up to buy, and I'm confused about why it seems so hard to get them to understand. Any of you feel to some degree like that resonates? Like, if only more people knew, it would be obvious to them that they should give me their money because I can help and I'm coming from a place of service, right? So that's the entry point into the conversation, right? That's where we get to meet in your narrative. You've shown up here because to some degree, the copy that we presented and the messaging we put in the emails, or for some of you, the experience you've had with me so far has you curious that maybe there's something to this. There's some part of this problem we haven't figured out how to solve, or some capability we have yet to develop. Now, I'm going to set up a frame for this container in the context of this idea called levels of awareness and how markets evolve. Okay, so we're going to discuss this idea in two specific and different ways, and you'll find that it's a very congruent conversation, that these two ideas make total sense in terms of how they're applied to an individual and how they're applied to a market. But we're going to set up both ideas so that you have a very clear lens for which to have two separate conversations. Conversation number one: what does it look like for a prospect to evolve in their level of awareness about the solution that I can sell them? And also, what does it look like for a market to evolve through its acceptance or its use of solutions to solve a defined problem? Okay, so I'm going to go over to the whiteboard and I'm going to draw some stuff. First, what I'm going to do, where do I look? Here, Stephen? Yeah, Craig. Okay, so I'm going to write down 5 levels of awareness, from unaware to symptom aware to problem aware to solution aware to most aware. Okay, and if you guys have pen and paper and you take notes, now's a good time. Okay, write this down and follow along. So first, we're going to talk about this in terms of an individual. All right, so I'm going to write individual over here. And then over here, we'll talk about it in terms of a market. In the level of an individual, the way that these levels of awareness become defined is first by the definition of a problem. Okay, so all of your clients have a problem that you solve. And the word problem in this context means your customer has an actual problem. And mostly I hate the use of the word actually in copywriting because it implies like a fake form of authority, like actually the answer is this, and you don't really have to justify it. But in the context of this conversation, I'm intentionally using the word actual problem because what I want you to understand is that a market or an individual with a problem needs to have their problem defined by the person who understands it, who really knows the problem. So let's check in with you guys. Like, each of you has built a business around your perception of a problem, right? You look at your customer and you see very clearly, you have this problem. I've spent my whole life treating you like a science experiment, and I see very clearly your problem at a level of resolution and at a level of nuance and detail that I have an appreciation for and I can see in you, but for some reason you have not seen it in yourself, and you wake up in the morning thinking you have problems, but you actually don't get that you have the problem. Does that feel true to you guys? Like, you, for some reason, you're like, what in the fuck is wrong with you? Why do you not see this? Like, and just Google it. I mean, it comes to me naturally. I see it. Why don't you see it? It's, for many entrepreneurs, it's very confusing. Yes, it's like, how do I get my customer to like buy this problem? So they might be feeling like they have problems, but for most customers, they're feeling like they have symptoms. And we might discuss symptoms and problems in kind of like a way where the words mean the same when we're thinking about copywriting, because one of the core principles of marketing is that we need to meet the customer in their story, right? We need to meet them in the conversation going on in their mind, which is going to sound like my back hurts. And we need to somehow enroll them into, one, paying attention to us. We need to capture their attention. We need to retain that attention by demonstrating to them what? That we understand them and that they can trust us. And if we succeed in that, and we succeed in building a narrative that achieves all of the necessary check marks along the way, that it makes sense to them and they comprehend it, we might get them to buy our hypothesis of what their problem is, right? We might, if we're good at this, be successful in leading them in their mind to buy the idea that this is in fact the problem you have, and therefore that's why I'm offering this solution, right? This is just in very simple terms how we go about getting people to understand and agree. And then if we can get them to agree, then from this place of problem, we can propose our solution, but ultimately there are many solutions, right? Solution two, especially for problems that have been around a while. There's a variety of ways to treat health conditions, and if we're lucky, we'll get them to consider our solution. And if we can get them to consider our solution, we can present them with an offer to buy, and they may very well do just that. Okay, everybody tracking this? So with you guys, for example, I'm meeting you in the idea that maybe you'd like to improve your marketing, you'd like to attract more leads, you'd like to create more profit, you'd like to ultimately grow your business, make a bigger difference in the world. And the problem is maybe you're unclear how to communicate, you're frustrated with your technology, you're frustrated with misunderstanding funnels, maybe you are feeling like there's so many voices out there and you don't like having to try to decide between what options are available to you, or you might not feel qualified or capable of picking and it all feels like a gamble. Maybe you've got like finite runway and so you're wanting to gain leverage. Like there's a variation of themes around what you might label your problem. Okay, so their perception of the problem is a symptom, but I'm working hard right now to move you from symptom to what I define as the, quote, actual problem. Okay, everybody tracking this? And so we're capable as marketers of progressing an individual through these levels of awareness. And when we think about copywriting and when we think about funnels and when we think about webinar scripts, like this presentation is an example, we get to meet somebody at one of these levels and do our best to progress the narrative through them until they get to most aware such that they agree that our solution is a good solution for their problem and we get to make them an offer and then they buy. This is the science of how the levels of awareness work with an individual. Now, the other side of this is that in a market, the problem that exists in the market across many individuals has a slightly more sophisticated form of evolution. Just like how an individual evolves through their levels of awareness, individuals in groups evolve through the levels of awareness in such a way that, some are slower, some are faster, and the market in general has people at all of these levels of awareness. But over time, I'm going to draw two charts because I can't have. So this is when a market is largely unaware, and this is when a market is largely most aware. This is like how many people are in the market, right? So if we distribute it kind of like this way, what we'll see is when a new problem emerges, a new actual problem emerges, most of the market is completely unaware. Some of them become symptom aware. Very few of them are problem aware. Even fewer are solution aware. And even fewer are most aware and ready to buy. But then when the problem has been around for a while, and most of the market is most aware, it breaks down a little differently And what we see is that now almost nobody is unaware, even if just a little bit more symptom aware, but almost everybody is, I didn't draw this very well, I gotta move it over. But almost everyone is problem aware and most aware, okay? So what I want you to see here is that in the online marketing and coaching industry, and in most current service industries, the internet has now been around for a while, and we've had 5 or 10 years of marketers trying to tell you how to market your business, and there's been the opportunity for, I don't know, a bajillion different tactics or strategies to become available to you. And so you can validate this hypothesis by looking at this chart and going, oh, actually, you're right. I am really super aware of most of the solutions available to me in the marketing space, right? Like, I'm speaking to a very sophisticated audience of people who've been exposed to people chirping at you in Facebook now, or Instagram, or TikTok, or LinkedIn, or at seminars and at events and workshops for, I mean, I've known some of you on this call for literally half a decade. And half a decade ago, we were already pretty deep into the idea of online marketing. And so the challenge we face as a market is that as the market evolves through these levels of awareness, competitors in the space working to serve the problem have to do this thing called claims escalation. Meaning, in order, I'm going to draw like another chart on top of this. In order to win in marketing to you, I have to reasonably aggressively escalate my claims, aka the promise, but capability to solve the problem doesn't increase like that, okay? So in order to compete with all of the other competitors in the space with getting your attention and offering you a solution, I have to say, okay, like back here when everybody's unaware, I'm like, hey, you have this problem, I can fix it. They're like, oh, cool, you're the first person to tell me that, here's my money, right? That's how it works over here. Oh, thank God you appeared. For a second there, I thought no one had the answer. Right? Everybody tracking this? And then what happens is somebody competes and they go, well, I can do it for just a little bit cheaper. You go, okay, I'll buy it for cheaper. And then somebody else comes and they're like, well, I can do it for cheaper and also I can do it better. And I'll do it better in this specific way. And you go, oh, okay, well, I like cheaper and I like better. And then we go another step forward and people are like, well, not only can I do it cheaper and better, I can do it cheaper and better with a guarantee, okay? And then we go to, all right, not only can I do it cheaper and better and with a guarantee, I'll do it cheaper and better and faster with a guarantee. And then at that point, claims become incredibly escalated and we go, I can do it cheaper, better, faster, and with a guarantee. Oh, and by the way, I'll stack it with 3 or 4 of my friends' bonuses, and they'll give you their shit, which is cheaper, better, faster, and for free. And that's why you should choose me. And you go, actually, I'm pretty sure that what you're selling me for cheaper, better, and faster with a guarantee is not going to help me because I've done this now 5 times and none of those have worked. Because the claims have escalated, but skill has not. Okay, like skill actually kind of goes from I'm decent at this to like I'm a little better at it and then kind of caps out. Like this is skill or capability. These are claims. And this triangle is the problem. Okay? The problem is now that for most of you, your customers are experiencing some variation of this. Because most of us are in some form of an online marketing industry or coaching or services offer, a transformational offer, a men's work offer, a healing offer, like the healthcare industry is kind of this place. What I'm seeing is that not only is the online marketing industry broken, but what has happened is marketers have ruined marketing across almost every industry. Okay? Stephen, bring this up. This is a very emphatic moment. Marketers have ruined marketing. So the online marketing industry has ruined itself. Okay? It's ruined itself because Everyone is specialized, and they've told you that everything is important, and therefore none of it is. And it's lost all real sense of nuance. And also, because everyone is specialized, most people have failed to have like a broad or polymathic perspective on how marketing as a strategy or a system works. And also, we've deviated from first principles, and we've deviated from what works from a human behavioral perspective in order to escalate claims. So, for example, people are like, you know what you need to do is Facebook ads. But they're now talking about Facebook ads instead of how to become a great transformational marketer, because they have to sell you Facebook ads to buy groceries, because someone else is selling you video editing services and someone else is selling you on SEO. And in order to compete with the guy selling SEO, I have to sell something similar. And selling you homework or capability doesn't sound sexy. So therefore, we're selling you on the next thing that you should have to do. Okay? So by no fault of anyone in particular trying to be malicious, we've just set up a game that is not winnable for you. And also, you don't trust just about anybody, and they actually can't fulfill on what they promise because their specialization is too narrow, and on and on and on we go. And so in that regard, in particular, the coaching and online marketing industries are broken as well. And this is not me trying to be like doom and gloom. This is just me trying to bring some objective, fact-based conversation to the table. The question we're asking is, how do I win in marketing? But what we don't realize is that we've been asking that question in a bit of a vacuum without having the recognition that as the market evolves, it becomes more and more difficult to win in. And so the way we won yesterday and the way we won last year and the way we won 2 years ago is, largely not changing, but what is changing is how difficult it is to win in the current marketing paradigm. Okay? Is everybody tracking that? I just spent the last 10 minutes just to try to set up this one idea that not only are you trying to become a great marketer, you're now trying to become a great marketer in the hardest ever era of marketing as a coach or entrepreneur or consultant because of the nature of how the market you're serving has evolved. Okay? And so with that, I would love for you to take a deep sigh of relief because you've been gaslit by people telling you you're the problem and that you're not trying hard enough, and if only you would do better or man up or do a cold shower in the morning, you might, have God's blessing to attract the prospect gods to bring you all the people you want to serve. And so just like how the plastics industry has told you you're a terrible consumer if you don't wash out your plastic straw and recycle it, well, they ship it off to China so as to abdicate responsibility for producing the plastic to begin with. The online marketing industry has told you that if only you were better or smarter, you could figure this out. And it has nothing to do with the things on the outside world. You just should write some more affirmations and pull out your journal and think better or smarter inside the current paradigm. Okay, you should just try to keep doing what worked yesterday, today. And as long as they keep you in that story, they keep you trapped buying their stuff, which is inside the current paradigm. And they really would like for you to keep doing that for as long as possible. Now, let's take a quick sidestep and talk about how this applies to funnels for a second. One of the themes sort of inside this idea, you'll see that this gets meta pretty quick, is that in the process of evolving the market, we've told you that marketing is something you do, okay? So let's write that down here. Marketing is something you do, okay? This is effectively what you've been told. How many of you feel that way? Marketing is something I do. I should wake up in the morning and I should post stuff on social media. I should wake up in the morning and I should film content. I should wake up in the morning and I should build a funnel. I should wake up in the morning and I should, do cold outreach for 4 hours, like Alex Hormozy says. Like, I should wake up in the morning and I should hire a team of people to send my emails for me. I should run a newsletter. I should create VSLs. I should attend events. Oh, I should run an event, right? We've given you this list of like 100 checklist items. Start a Facebook group, become a master of LinkedIn outreach, use AI to automatically respond to comments, et cetera, et cetera. And so the problem is that You then think about marketing in terms of action and behavior. Okay, so let's draw a simple funnel. I don't know how many boxes I'm going to use, so I'll just make that many. Okay, let's make a simple funnel. All of you familiar with funnels? More or less, when I use the word, anybody? Okay, good enough. So I'm going to do a funnel, and it's going to start with an ad, okay? Or I'm going to recruit a JV into sending an email. And then what's going to happen is they're going to what? Click on that ad, and they're going to end up on my landing page. And on that landing page, they're going to register to attend my webinar. And they're going to be sent to a thank you page. And in an ideal world, what they're going to do is they're going to add it to their calendar. They're going to get dropped into an email sequence of reminders. And that email sequence is ultimately going to prompt them to do another action, which is show up. And then once they're on the webinar, they're going to be given the opportunity to, again, click a link to book a call. And again, we're going to want them to add that to the calendar. And we're going to drop them into an email sequence. And we're going to hope that email sequence causes them to do what? Show up to the call. And on we go until ultimately money. Yes? Everybody tracking this? In some way, who in some way has built something like this before? This is like a thing that you've been told to do, or you've implemented some variation of this into your business, and so here we are. Okay, great. There's variations on this. You can do a social media challenge. You can have a VSL funnel. You can run a live event. You can do a paid workshop, right? You can do a summit. You can do all this stuff. Now, what I want to bring your attention to is that this right here is an action. This 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 is an action. And this is an action. And I want to introduce you now to a different idea, which is personal development. Okay? We're taking a left-hand turn. We're going to do a little bit of personal development right now. And I want to talk to you about what this funnel in a broad sense is trying to achieve for this person, right? Because I'm guessing most of you, if you could confirm with a raise of your hand, you sell some form or kind of transformation. Okay, you're either literally offering a personal development transformation, or you're offering a transformation in terms of outcome, like I'm going to help you regain your health, which is a form of like health transformation. You're going to help someone produce better outcomes as a leader, so maybe you're helping them become like a better event leader, or you're going to help them in some way change their life. Yes, I'm giving you guys a list and no one has their hands up. So I want to get your buy-in. In some way, what you're selling is a form of transformation, right? Okay, so let's think about transformation. What does that actually mean? What does it mean for a person to become someone who has transformed? Okay, because people spend a bunch of time, for example, wanting to transform the way that they look or the way that they feel or their health, right? Like how many of you at some point in time have wanted to lose some weight or gain command of a health condition or get into better physical shape? Like you wanted to improve your flexibility or your nutrition. Okay, great. So everyone on camera put their hands up. Now the next question, how many of you have felt at times that you've wanted that transformation and yet it did not occur? For some reason, you kept eating the snacks and not changing your sleep and not going to do your exercise and not deciding to take on keto or carnivore or vegetarian or whatever the thing would be. And so on one hand, we're selling a transformational service. And now that you've spent some time with me, I think I've got you enrolled in the idea that the goal of this funnel over here is to also create a transformation, yes? The person over here who hasn't yet clicked the ad needs to transform into the person who ultimately gives you money, right? You guys tracking this frame? Like, when they meet you, they're not the person who gives you money. And then at the end of the funnel, you'd like them to be the person who gives you money, okay? And so what I'm saying is that that's a process of transformation that's occurring such that they go from being the person who hasn't given you money to becoming the person who is now giving you their money. But we're thinking about that in terms of action, right? They become that person by taking these actions. That's the frame that we've bought. Except for those of you on camera at the time, I asked you if you had a transformational goal to lose some weight, but you found yourself not taking the requisite action. So can you see the subtle paradox of ideas I'm setting up for you here? That over here we're saying I want them to transform, but over here we know that often transformation does not happen with action. Okay? But we build these funnels on a foundation of an idea that marketing is something you do. So therefore, what we try to achieve is a behavioral outcome at each of these steps of the funnel. And so some of you may have heard this. There's a few great leaders out there, their shoulders upon which I will now stand and say to you the following words, which is that the quality of your life is based on the quality of the questions that you ask, okay? And on the foundation that marketing is something you're doing, the question you're probably asking is, how do I get this person to do something differently? Yes? When you think about marketing, how many of you buy this? How do I get them to do something differently? Okay, cool. Thank you, Jennifer, for putting that in the chat. And I see you guys raising your hands. Great. Now, let's now add another idea, which is that beliefs create our thoughts and feelings. Those feelings are responsible for our actions. Our actions create our results. And more often than not, the results reinforce and prove true the beliefs that we're holding. Okay? All of you have some sense of that being true in your life? It's almost like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I decided that I probably wasn't going to make any money, and so therefore I didn't. I decided I looked and felt a certain way, and so I had some thoughts and feelings about it that led me to actions that reinforced the results that caused those beliefs to be validated as true. And around the circle we go. Now, so far what we've talked about is that the way to change our results, so I'm going to do in black approach number 1, okay? The way we change our results is by changing different actions. And this is what we're trying to do here. Hey, Mr. Customer or Mrs. Customer, the way to get a different outcome is to change the action that you're taking. And so the action that I want you to take now that's different than the action you were taking before was buying my thing and doing the things I'm going to prescribe so that you can get a different result, and the result will then therefore change the belief. If only I can produce a different result, that will help me change the belief, and the beliefs will then change the thoughts and the feelings, which will then hopefully reinforce new actions. Okay? But what I'm hoping that most of you can see is that that has never once been true for you. In fact, many of you have gone days, weeks, months, years, or decades trying to create a different result in your life so that you could have a different belief and have a different feeling called, for example, if only I could make enough money. If only I could change my actions so that I make enough money, then I could have the belief that I have a lot of money and that'll change how I feel and my scarcity will go away. Right? Or if only I could change my actions around how I eat food, I could produce a result called having less weight, and then I'd have the belief called I can trust myself by being dependable, and then therefore I'll have different thoughts and feelings about how I look and how I feel. But the problem with this is that we're picking this up at the totally wrong place, and thank you to my friend David Bayer. What we have is a simple model that actually works, which is that the thing that needs to change is actually the belief. Okay, this is approach number 2. And if we're successful in changing a belief, then we'll have new thoughts, which will produce new feelings and lead automatically to new actions that will then reinforce that new belief to be true. And so therefore, I no longer have to try to override or govern the actions that I'm having. I'll be able to live into this new belief and create, therefore, the results that that new belief or that new version of me wants. Okay? And so if you buy the idea that we can change our beliefs, then what we need to do is replace the word belief with a different word called decision. We need to actually decide that we believe something new. And my argument is that transformation is the process of helping a person adopt a new belief and therefore equip them to make a new decision. Okay? And I want to frame that whole conversation in the idea called what we want to do is help them to be a different person instead of do something different. Okay? Following? Our goal in marketing henceforth, if this is the only thing you take away from today, our goal in marketing henceforth is no longer to try to convince them to do something different, it's to try to help them become someone new. Yes? And if we're successful as marketers in helping them become someone new, we will unlock a level of leverage inaccessible to every other dipshit trying to sell you something to do, who believes the way they fix their life is by doing something different and is trying to help their clients do something different, and which is why their entire life feels like a failure, because the whole paradigm is built on a screwed up personal development context. And actually, entrepreneurship and marketing is an evolutionary crucible each of us has stepped into because of who we're trying to be. We're trying to be someone different, and so therefore we need to help our clients do the same. Now, let's reimagine this funnel through this new context, shall we? I'm going to use the color red, and I'd like to have you imagine that what needs to happen in this ad is not an action, but an evolution, okay? And this evolution, this process of helping change who they are, means they become the person who clicks the link, and therefore, instead of us trying to coerce or manipulate them into doing something that is out of integrity with their beliefs, we're helping them change the belief so that the click is something they genuinely want to do. Okay, now this might sound like semantics, but trust me when I tell you your whole life is built on your stories and your beliefs, and so these semantics are critically important in the distinction between an ad that is trying to solicit someone into an action they don't want to take versus become the person who wants to click the link is the very fucking edge of the leverage, the Archimedes lever that will transform two things. One, all of a sudden, this person wants to do it. And the second thing is that you have helped them become who they want to be. And so we're now in service on here. And this empowers us to step forward into this with the truth being, I am helping you to transform. We do it again on the landing page, okay? We help them become the person who wants to register. And in the process, they then do. On the thank you page and in the add to calendar and in the show up sequence, we help them become the person who wants to add it to their calendar, who wants to open the emails, and who wants to show up to the webinar. And on the webinar, we help them become the person who wants to click the link to book a call because they can see how this transformation is genuinely going to serve them. And then on the book a call page, we help them further take that step and become the person who actually books it. And then on the sales call, we do the exact same thing and we help them become the person who wants to buy what you're selling, who wants the transformation you're putting in front of them, and therefore they want to pull out their credit card and give you their money. Okay? How does that feel? Better? Don't we all truly want the person to want to buy what we're selling? For that to happen, they must become the person who wants to buy. And Jennifer, you're right. It does attract a different type of client. And so all of this is a return to first principles, okay? This is the science of behavioral change. This is the science of transformation. We're just talking about it in terms of marketing, okay? Because their objection to you is not to your product or your service. So again, I'd like to invite you into a deep sigh. It's not about me. The reason they're not buying has nothing to do with me, except in that I haven't helped them become the person who wants to buy. The reason they're not buying is because they're not yet the person who's ready to transform, And my product or service is the opportunity, the proxy, or the crucible in front of them that reflects that transformation. And so my duty now as a marketer is to help them become the person who does in fact have the capability and who wants to change, so that therefore the purchase or investment into my product or service is the reflection of that commitment to transformation. Okay? So you might not know this, but you've been looking for someone to trust. You've been looking for an Alexander. You've been looking for a marketer. You've been looking for a team member. You've been looking for a CMO or a contract conversion rate optimization specialist. You've been looking for someone to trust, and you might not realize it, but you've been seeking a savior. You've been looking to be saved, not because you're like a weak-willed entrepreneur. Of course not. You are a person who wakes up in the morning and goes, I'll do whatever it takes. Okay? I'm not saying you've been looking for a reason to be saved from the perspective that you're not committed to what it is that you want to create. But in the context that you've labeled marketing as something you do, you've been looking to be saved from a not short list of shit you think you need to do that you in fact don't want to do. Yes? How many of you are jumping up and down, feeling super excited that today is the day that I get to do 10 social media posts? Oh, thank God. That's exactly what I was hoping for. 10 social media posts today? I was totally hoping. Actually, you know what? I was really hoping that my life would look like waking up in the morning and writing 15 emails for the week. That sounds so fun. I'm so excited to do that. Or, you know what would be even better? I would love to learn how Zapier works and build a complex automation technology with pathing and outcomes that integrate with my CRM and properly segment my customers into a sales pipeline that triages my opportunities by priority and value and customer likelihood to buy. That sounds super exciting. Alexander, I was really hoping to do that, right? All of you? Is that all of you? Am I speaking to the wrong crowd? You're all super excited to do this? I'm guessing not. Okay, I'm guessing not. And actually, this is a funny moment for me because I've had an email come to me from someone. We were following up with it. They came to one of my public talks. It was a lot like this. And she's like, we're launching the second cohort for our Marketing Accelerator coaching program, which we're currently flirting with thinking about in terms of business school for entrepreneurs that actually want to create transformation. And she's like, hey, Adam, actually, when I was at the public talk with Alex, he looked at me and he said, I've been framing marketing and I've been framing doing things in my business as something that I don't want to do. And he helped me see that I had a story that I didn't want to do it. So I went to my therapist and I've spent, 8 or 9 weeks working on this. And I'm totally good now. I've reframed my psychology. I love what I'm doing. I've fixed my business. I don't need you guys anymore. Thank you anyway. And I was like, wow, this is a bittersweet moment because I feel so rejected. Like, do I get money for this? Unfortunately, I didn't charge for it. But on the other hand, I was like, wow, this subtle distinction that we've defined what we want as something we get on the other side of doing something we don't want to do is not just the key reframe necessary in our business and in our identity as marketers and in our capability as coaches and service providers. This is the problem all of your customers have too. They've defined the path to losing weight as through a bunch of shit they don't want to do. They've defined the path to running a successful event as by doing a checklist of stuff they don't want to do. And then they wake up in the morning and they pull on their bootstraps and they go, okay, I'll do all this stuff I don't want to do anyway, while they secretly feel bitter and resentful, and they fail to be creative, and they don't even consider that they could enroll their customers, but more importantly, themselves into the identity necessary that things they don't want to do might actually be something they want to do, but also they might be able to hire people who would love to do the things that they want to do. Well, they get to be the person who leads it, and they get to be the person who develops the capability to help their customers want to buy their stuff. So with all of that in mind, I want to circle back here to this idea. Okay, I'm being a little mean, but I'm also trying to be a little nice. Okay, and it's important that we're honest. You've been looking for someone to trust, Stephen, if you could bring up my slide. You might not realize it, but you've been seeking a savior from all of this bullshit that you don't want to do, but you're the one that you need. You're the one who your customers need. You're the one who gets to be the person who creates the transformation you say you stand for. And so my goal on this presentation is to enroll you into this idea that it is now time to become the marketer that your prospects need, okay? And if you do this right, you're going to create a transformation that sounds like this, that one of the clients we've worked with for years started to make these subtle shifts of distinction around identity. He started to write his copy just a little bit differently. He started to post on social media just a little bit differently, and posts that were previously getting some interaction, like he's got a reasonably large audience, thousands of people in his Facebook group, 60 or 70,000 people on his email list, started to get hundreds and hundreds of shares. And the reason that that's important is because what that says is that people feel seen, and they want to share that version of them that feels seen with their audiences, okay? And I can back this up with data. Instagram's CEO has recently been discussing the changes they've been making in the background to rank relevancy in their algorithm. And the most important current metric in Instagram today is the quantity of impressions to shares. Meaning, if your post gets sent to one of the person who sees its friends, the number of times your post is sent in an Instagram message. You know how you scroll reels and you send that reel to your friend and you go, haha, that's me, okay? Haha, like this idea speaks to me. That is a reflection that you're speaking into the mind of the customer. And so you, in my opinion, we can't afford to delay this any longer. We can't afford to continue to live in this paradigm that has existed now for, I don't know, since the internet was invented. Marketing is something you do, okay? We cannot afford to delay. You must immediately shift the frame to that marketing is someone you are. And the way to do that is that you must learn the science of behavioral change. You must adapt behavioral change into a marketing framework and ultimately empower all of these other areas of your life as well. Because this science that I'm talking to you guys about doesn't just apply to marketing. I'm sure that you can see that so far, right? Like, it's not just a marketing conversation. This shows up in your speaking presentations when you're on stage. What are you trying to do when you're on stage? You're trying to enroll your audience into the transformation of belief and identity necessary such that they run to the back of the room and they buy your stuff, right? When we're on a sales call, we're trying to help the person become ready to transform. We want them to become the person who wants to buy. When we're coaching our clients, we don't want to set them up to just do different things. We want to set them up to become a new person. The same is true of consulting, teaching, training, and in the context of this presentation, the focus has been marketing. But at the end of the day, this transformation permeates through all areas of your life. It permeates into your leadership as a business owner, into your family dynamic at home, into the relationship you have with your spouse, the kids that you love and adore, that you want to hang out with you. This science applies everywhere, and so therefore it goes really deep. I want to take a shot now at articulating to you what I perceive, like I talked about over here, Stephen, if you would. The actual problem that you guys have. You came here thinking you had a marketing problem and that probably I was going to tell you something that you should leave here to go do. What I think is your actual problem is that you have not yet found a science that you can repeatedly deploy to capture the attention of the person you want to help and enroll them into the process of transformation necessary for them to become the person who wants to buy what you're selling. Okay? Does that land with you guys? That ultimately you want to help your prospects become the person who wants to give you money. That's the actual problem. And more deeply, you haven't solved that problem because you have not been ready for transformation. You've been, for better or for worse, sedating in the safety of checklists, funnel diagrams, seminars, workshops, events, and coaching programs that help you be in your story, that marketing is something you do and you don't want to do almost any of it, but you're going to pull up your bootstraps and try hard anyway while you silently suffer, not acknowledging the truth that this is not working and it's not okay. Okay? And I want to invite you into that feeling. Like, it's not okay that we've been sold a lie. It's not okay that I've spent 10 years of my life having to figure this out by myself because for some reason the market evolved into basically a circumstance where we had no chance. And there was so much stimulation and so many offers and so many ways of doing things that, somehow we forgot to be. At some point, we forgot that this was about transformation. And I want to bring that back. So I said earlier, there was going to be an opportunity for you to change, that I was going to do my best to lead you into the moment where you get the opportunity to be in your truth and you get the opportunity to decide to change. Now, I'm sure you're wondering if that means the next slide is I'm going to sell you something. I'll just scroll through a few slides to show you. I've got a lot more slides to go. This isn't the moment I sell you on something. Okay, I will offer you something later, but this is not that moment. So we can take any concern you might have that by saying yes to this means you're saying yes to giving me your credit card. What this moment is for you is the opportunity to check in on what's true for you, because transformation occurs in the truth. Transformation can only occur when you're honest. And what I want to invite you into in this moment is that the truth is you've been trying to do things you don't want to do. You've been secretly suffering, wearing a brave face, acting like you will do whatever it takes, but silently wishing you wouldn't have to. Feeling like marketing is something you have to do, so you wish someone else would show up to do it for you. And in doing so, you've abdicated the identity necessary for you to win, which is the identity that I am the marketer. I am a marketer that can be helped by a great team. I am a marketer that can enroll a bunch of people who are the people who want to help me and who want to do the things that I don't want to do. I am the marketer that is going to develop the capability of speaking to my customer and helping them to transform such that they want to give me their money. And in developing that skill, I will actually become a weapon capable of making as much money as I could ever want to make, because that skill underlies my ability to help a person decide to change. And in doing so, I could sell the offer inside my current business, but also I could sell any offer in any business at any time to any person with that problem. And so in that regard, Alexander has shared with me a fundamental truth, which is that the reason people aren't buying is because they're not ready to change. And in this moment, I'm going to be the one who decides to change. I'm going to be the one who wakes up in the morning and instead of saying, why me? Why do I have to do this thing I don't really want to do? I am the one who will be responsible for producing this outcome in my life, and I will find people to help me do it. And it's a subtle shift in context, but it's an invitation into an identity. Most of the people who join me in my coaching program and most of the people who've hired me have been abdicating unintentionally, and this is an opportunity to take back your power, okay? So we're back into this frame, that you are the one, and ultimately, you are the marketer that your prospects need. You are the closer who will help them decide to change, and you are their leader, not their savior, who will help them become who they want to be instead of trying to help them do shit they don't want to do, and in the process do that for yourself. So let's switch gears here for a second and talk about what the science of transformation actually looks like. You're going to see this a lot. Okay? And I'm going to put your customer right here. And we're going to walk through the steps it takes to get this person from here to here. Okay? This is the thing you sell them. This is where they give you money. This is where they currently are, which is stuck. They are totally and completely stuck. This is a form of purgatory. They're experiencing some pain. They've got some symptoms. They're probably aware of the various solutions to their problem. They don't really act on those problems, and you look at them with some frustration, and you're like, why won't they? Why aren't they? Like, what in the hell? Why aren't they moving? It's all very confusing because they'll even say, I want to do the thing, I want to buy the thing, but they don't. And that's because they are lacking some critical nuance in unlocking their ability to create the changes they want in their life. Okay? This is everybody. But for you, let's keep it in terms of their customer. Let's start with the problem. They have a problem, okay? But the problem isn't here, it's actually down here. Up here, they have symptoms. And really, they don't want to look at their problem. Okay? If all you did was take away this one key point, this time and probably many other times like it would be worth it to you. The reason that most marketers fail, number one, the first reason why most marketers fail is they act as if the customer is willing to face their problem. You see their problem, you're kind of exhibitionist about it, you have adapted to the pain that comes with that problem, you have a reasonably nuanced degree of information about the facts of that problem, but this customer doesn't have any of that, and they don't like most of the pain that comes with that problem, so they're mostly unwilling to admit that they have it at the emotional level necessary for them to become capable of change. Okay? And so this is the distinction that I wanted to make earlier between the actual problem and how they label their problem. Okay? They're like, sure, I've got a problem, I'm a bit overweight. But they're not actually digging into the facts of that problem. Well, I'm overweight because I feel like a terrible person, I'm bad in my marriage, I'm not taking care of my wife, I'm overworking, I don't feel good enough, my parents don't love me. Like, whatever the reasons are, they don't want to actually go investigate that. So they'll acknowledge it intellectually, but they won't move into it with their feelings. And they're stuck in this thing called a frame. This purple box, which I want to burn into your mind. I'll stand over here so Stephen can do his production magic. Stephen, show them the picture. This is the frame. Okay? It's a box. And it's a box that they're stuck in. And it's composed of 4 critical ingredients: rules, laws, stories, and beliefs. Okay? Remember? Beliefs. Okay? Let's add some stuff to this. Stories, rules, laws, and beliefs. Your stories, rules, laws, and beliefs control your frame. Your frame dictates your thoughts create your feelings govern your actions produce your results reinforce the strength of the frame. Okay? This is universally true. I could prove it to you in any conversation at any time about any belief, rule, law, or story. This person's frame is true for them, but also objectively wrong, which is the great irony. If you try to correct the frame, though, they won't listen to you because the correction isn't real for them. You can't just walk up to someone and say, hi, the frame you have is not true. That doesn't work. You have to actually meet them in that frame, which most marketers are too fucking impatient to do. Okay? They just don't. They're like, you know what would be really best for me is if you would just like recognize that I'm right and you're wrong so I can sell you something. How many of you see that in like a good chunk of the marketers out there? Like, and it goes further. Actually, I'm a little bitter that you haven't figured this out already because I've been trying really hard, doing all kinds of stuff I don't want to do to get your attention, and now you owe me figuring yourself out so I can sell to you. Okay? It's crazy insidious how most marketers think. I'm sure this is none of you guys. But the problem is, if you don't meet them in the frame, you don't get to earn their attention. They don't stay with you. Okay? So if all you did was change one thing and meet them in what's true for them instead of what you think should be true, you'll earn way more business. Okay? Because you'll actually earn rapport with them. Now, let's say you do successfully meet them in the frame. The next thing we do is we need to get them into the truth. I've said this a few times, but basically we need this person to come down here. And so that we're clear, and there's like a whole bunch of science around this. This pit that we're trying to get them into, where the problem and their truth lives, is almost entirely pain. Okay, now most marketers think that the way they win is by selling the promised land. Don't you know how great you'll feel when you have a six-pack? Don't you know how many ladies you could get? Don't you know how much healthier you'd be? Don't you know how much longer you would live? Don't you know like how much stronger you would be? Don't you know how much better you would sleep? Don't you know how like the improvement to your nutrition would help your hormones? Like, don't you know how much good stuff would happen if only you bought my solution? And you're like, yeah, I know, but I'm still not doing it. Right? We talked about this earlier. Yeah, I know. I said I wanted to lose weight, but you telling me another 50 reasons why I should lose weight, it's not actually helping me do it. And you're like, but Alex, someone told me I should turn features into benefits, and if I just told them enough benefits, they would decide to change. Don't I need to like sell based on the benefits of my offer? Shouldn't I be trying to convince them about how good this is? Like, why aren't they doing it? And most marketers spend 80 to 100% of their time trying to sell the promised land. And so there's two things that I want to bring up here. The first is, to the degree that you sell the promised land, it might be true that you have pain that you're trying to avoid. And so you all need to actually check in on this. But like, is your compulsion to help your customer avoid their pain and get the outcome because you are trying to avoid your pain and get the outcome? This is an entrepreneurial question that is really important that we answer, because as long as you're trying to save yourself by saving your clients, you'll never win. We must go into the pit. The second is the pain that is attached to facts reveal the actual problem, and it's only in discovering those facts and feeling those feelings that we get access to the truth and therefore become capable of transformation. So great marketers will actually spend 80% of their time gently, lovingly, caringly meeting their customer in their current stories, rules, laws, and beliefs, and guiding them into the pit, which represents the facts that they're experiencing in their life related to the problem that is true, which unlocks their truth for them, which is mostly actually the energy of this is not fine, this is not okay, and awakens them to their true desire to transform. Okay? Now, this is to some degree hyperbolic, and that's all we get to have in a short class like this. This person who is suffering here has not recognized the truth about their reality, and so is therefore projecting a fantasy. And if you sell a customer a fantasy, what happens? You guys have all done this. When you meet a customer and you don't take them into their truth, and you sell them based on their story of suffering, a fantasy that they're imagining could be true, but they're not willing to endure the pain for, what happens? Put in the chat what happens when you sell a customer like this, who's unwilling to face the facts and the pain about their circumstance. You guys nailed it. They don't follow through. What happens when you sell a customer from a place of what's true for them? Yeah. Jennifer, because they're committed to their transformation and not to you saving them. Correct. Nikki, they own their change. So this is another version of the distinction. This is you as a savior. This is you as a leader. Everybody got that distinction? And so this gap here is the magic, okay? What I want you guys to see is that when you succeed in leading a person into their pit, what color do I want to use? Let's try orange. When you succeed in meeting them in their frame, leading them into the pit, helping them acknowledge their truth, and then offer them a solution, what happens is you reveal the gap, but also you create a genuine magnetic charge, and that this is desire. This is the key to them wanting to give you money. Everybody see that? Over here, they're lacking the negative pole. They only have the positive fantasy. It's not true desire. It's a compulsion to be saved from a purgatory that isn't true. Here, when we're in our real feelings, when we have a perception of our real truth, when we can see the real facts about our real pain, and we have a real goal, a real outcome, which comes from a place of character or identity transformation, I get to decide what I want to be. I get to decide that this purchase reflects a transformation of my identity, and therefore I get to become who I want to become. So there's a chance in this that there's themes in this where I have helped you feel wrong. And I just want to show you this really lovely picture of a dog and say to you, my role in my relationship with you is to lead you into the pit. To the degree I help you feel your facts and your feelings, you get to make a decision that helps you create meaningful change. Okay? I am not here coming from a place of judgment, and you will find me the last person judging you as it relates to your crucible and your journey of being an entrepreneur. But what you can expect of me is to push you and to hold space for you very lovingly, to be in what's true for you, so that you become transformation of the of character that you want. And when you get all of this right, because again, it's not right or wrong, but when you develop this capability, what you get to experience is really anything that you might want. Like essentially what I'm selling you on here is the idea of being a powerful creator. This is what you set out to be. Okay? I brought you here with the story of marketing. But what I hope to deliver to you and what I hope you've learned so far is that this is actually the process upon which we gain access to insight and revelation, which equips us to make great decisions and step into the identity that we want to be. So if that identity is, I make $1 million and I hang out with my kids and my grandkids and my spouse and I get to travel and I get to have freedom. If that vision is I get to build a team and I get to scale to an 8-figure business. If that vision is I get to make $400,000 because we're like what's the word? It's like dual income, no kids, and I get to work 6 or 8 hours a week doing it. Great. All of that's great. Unlocking this capability empowers all of it. And some of my clients have experienced like amazing changes because of it. They say things like, my life has been ripped open in the best possible way, or they break through so many barriers that they're on fire and they're seeing results and taking massive action. And that's because this whole thing is meta, okay? What I've presented to you is a marketing strategy which is actually about you becoming the one, you stepping into a personal development crucible and regaining command of that thing you set out to do from the beginning as an entrepreneur, which was to be in command of your life, to create transformation, to make progress, not feel stuck, to grow, not be stagnant, to make more and more money every year, not to make less or to make the same. And so my goal ultimately is to make available to you at this point an opportunity to do one of 3 things. Number 1, you can do nothing, which none of you will do because I've hopefully changed your paradigm and I've given you enough information that it's going to keep you up at night. So let's take that one off the table. Ultimately, I've given you some stuff here. You can take on these ideas and you can go try these on alone, or you can do it with us. And my invitation to you is that it is time to unlock sustainable, scalable revenue in your business and to begin developing this capability. And quite frankly, the only capability that has sustainably produced clients' revenue and transformation ever. This is the only thing that has ever worked because this is the foundation upon which everything else happens. The science of behavioral change underlies every transformation that you might want to create in your life. And so we're building a business school for the modern era of entrepreneurship. I started down this course like 4 years ago, kind of in a weird way, but we reset this thing up late last year, November, and I want to invite you into this conversation around what it means to become the one. I want to help you become crystal clear about the problem you solve, who you want to solve it for, and what you want to offer them. I want to help you to identify your prospects' frames and how to meet them there with your existing marketing strategies or the ones that you want to deploy in the future. And I want to help you craft messages that resonate deeply with your ideal customers by learning to lead them into their pit and ultimately build a marketing machine that sustainably produces new clients for your business. And to give you some grounding, if all you did was learn how to write copy in a different way, it would be worth the cost of the program. And if all you did was set up your sales pipeline, which are 2 of the 16 educational modules we deliver, that would pay for the program. But ultimately, I'm putting on the table an offer for you to enjoy 4 months of acceleration with me and my team. We're going to do content and education across the domains of leadership, marketing, sales, AI, project management, joint ventures, events, and more, with new content being produced each cohort. Okay? We offer weekly strategy, technical support, copywriting, and integration calls to help you take everything you've learned and deploy it into your business so that you too can be on fire. We bring in guest expert presentations from the not insignificant portfolio of great friends that I've been developing in the entrepreneurship space who would love to share with you everything they know, and a private circle community to get additional support. And if you do this, there's a good chance that you become 10 times the business owner that you were before you joined the program. And I want to be clear, it's not just about lead gen. My attitude and my perspective and my capability to help you see the distinctions and the nuance in communicating to your audience in such a way that they feel seen, loved, heard, and understood, to help you have the courage and the confidence to lead them into the pit and to truly be the marketer, that's the real value that I'm putting on the table. So you're invited. Our cohort begins on April 8th. And if this is something that you're interested in, I want to invite you to book an absolutely no obligation discovery call. I want to help you make a sacred yes or a sacred no decision. If this is something that you've been considering or that you're interested in because you've attended this event, I want to invite you to click that link on the screen in front of you. I guess if somebody puts it in the chat for me, or just go to your browser and type mgi.link/profit, or use your cell phone and scan that QR code. You will be booking with me. I will be meeting with you. I am at the center of this. I am the one. It's me at my team at the helm of this. They fall in love with you. Yeah, exactly, Michael. That is going to lead you through the next 4 months and hopefully beyond. We've got a big chunk of the people in the first group retaking to gain the benefit of the second cohort that we're starting shortly. So please, for those of you who are interested and are going to book a call, can't wait to talk to you. And for those of you who are going to take this and step out and give these concepts a try, I want to tell you that I appreciate you for your attention and for giving me the opportunity to be the marketer who practices his webinars dozens and dozens of times, because I'm committed to evolving the language and the transformation happening inside this slide deck. And with that in mind, I actually have no idea what time it is, but if there are questions or comments, or if some of you would like to share your insight and revelation that occurred for you, that would be a big help in your learning process, to share what you've heard, something significant that you felt, a truth perhaps that you experienced. If you want to make that stuff known, I would love to hear from you. So raise your hand and Michael will bring you up and we'll have a quick chat.
All right. And one of the things I want to just toss out before we start bringing up people who have raised their hands is the element, like as Alexander was saying, this is not just really about lead gen. I would even go as far to say as, lead gen, especially as many of you here know me through Infinite List, maybe you're already members of Infinite List, you can generate a lead from a simple lead magnet, but that doesn't mean squat. It's like Alexander's talking about taking them through this whole process. So it's so much more than lead gen. It's about lead conversion. And this, I've been working with Alexander for a while now. We've been in some masterminds with him. The guy is freaking brilliant, and you're gonna love the answers you're gonna get to your questions. But as I mentioned in one of my chats there, he's both good cop, bad cop rolled into one. He will give you the honest freaking truth, as painful as it may be, but he delivers it with love. So, with that in mind, let's bring up
Lots
Liz.
of love. Hey, Liz.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you to unmute. I think I'll set it to where you guys can unmute yourselves.
I just did. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
So
Hi.
Alexander, it's so great to see you. And
You too.
I knew this was going to be good. I just didn't realize how good. So I thank you for that. And I thank you for confirming some stuff that I've thought for a long time, that a lot of what's going on out there is just complete bullshit. Ooh, did I say that? Yes, I did. Yeah, just complete bullshit. But you've just said so beautifully why. You put the words to my gut feelings. That's what you did. So thank you for that. Thank you for the
Thank you.
confirmation. I appreciate that. And thank you, Michael, for
Yeah, you're
putting all
welcome.
this together, making it work. We're
Of
doing this.
course.
Okay, I feel like I'm a beatnik from the 50s.
Yeah, baby.
We're back in Greenwich Village here.
Yeah,
Where's my beret? Where's my
I love
cigarette? My lucky strikes. No, wait. Where are my Gauloises?
it. Well, thank you, Liz. I appreciate it, and you're right. He definitely, so much of what Alexander lays out is just like it articulates the stuff that we all kind of feel and know, but he puts it into palpable languaging that we get, and we're like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the other thing I'm getting
Yeah.
is,
Well, and I want to.
go ahead.
I want to. I want to share with you that is exactly the result that all of us are wanting. Like this is a meta commentary on the skill that I'm talking about. Is that feeling of I feel seen, I feel understood, and I feel like you've put words to something that has been true for me, but I haven't worked through for myself. That in and of itself is the skill that I will help you to cultivate and deploy into your audiences so that they say the same thing to you and then ultimately decide, actually, working with Alexander or working with Liz is exactly the right next step for me.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. So I was just going to tie this up as like your explanation of going into the pit. It was like, oh, that's why what I do works, because that typically is the nature of my sales conversations. Is we go there, we go there, and people see pretty damn quick. Actually, it's like, oh yeah, that's what I need. That's what I need to do, because somebody is actually holding the space and validating what they've been feeling all along, but they thought it was just too nuts to ever say to anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for sharing, Liz.
Thank you for that.
All right, Shri.
Hey,
Dr. Shri. There you are.
I've I've been writing a newsletter for the last 5 or 6 weeks, and the content of that has been 3 books. There's a book called The Neurobiology of We. There's Dr. Joe Dispenza's book called Getting Over the Habit of Being Yourself. And there's the 10x is easier than 2x. And the funny thing, I don't know if it's funny, but the thing is, what I've been realizing is that the whole idea about changing yourself, you really do need to change yourself in order to become the entrepreneur that you say you want to be. And there's a lot of really deep work that goes into that. And I don't think we often realize that it is not just creating a funnel or identifying a particular. So for me, what today's conversation has been about is, yeah, yes, you have to change yourself in order to get change in the clients that you want to serve as well. So just thank you. So.
Yeah, you're welcome. Appreciate that.
All right. While we're waiting to see if any
Cool.
other hands pop up. Kelly, did you have your hand up for a minute? I saw some other hand that popped up and then went down. No. All right, no worries. I will say this, the replay will be available tomorrow. And here's the thing that also makes it a little bit weird. Normally, we send out the replay via email as well as a reminder to everybody who registered. However, we did something different today. I just popped an email out to everybody, even if you didn't register, saying, hey, we're starting now. If you want to come, jump on in. So I know a lot of you maybe who are here didn't pre-register. You'll be able to find it on our YouTube channel tomorrow, which I put the link in the chat as well. It'll be available there at the latest after 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And so go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, and then we'll probably at some point put it out in an entire email to the list again. But if you're anxious to get that replay, head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe there, and you'll see it when it pops out tomorrow. All right, other questions, anybody at all? I will just toss this out then to add in. So I've known Alexander now for several years. I first met him up at Kananaskis. Kananaskis is actually the way it's pronounced, but I like Kananaskis, Canada, at a mastermind for JVology up there. And gosh, was that like 2021? 20? I don't know.
Earlier. Yeah, 2019 or 2020.
Yeah, and we knew of each other prior to that, but that was the first time I got to meet him in person and first witnessing of his brilliance. And then recently we were at a mastermind together. The most recent time we played together was just a few weeks ago in Dallas, but we've been hanging out a lot of different spaces over the years in different masterminds. And I never cease to be amazed at how brilliant he is at getting to the heart of an issue. And so we've been working more closely together recently, and he's been helping us to redefine our messaging because it is so key. It's like I remember a friend of mine is from this little town in Alaska. I forget the name of it, slipping my mind right now, but it starts with an H. But anyway, it's a little fishing village. But I remember seeing a bumper sticker in a car that says, it said the name of the village. It says, we're a drinking village with a fishing problem, as opposed to a fishing village with a drinking problem, which struck me as funny. But I think that happens to us in marketing so much of the time that we're getting our problems mixed up. Okay. And so we think we have this problem when the reality is this. And that's where Alexander is so good at dialing that in for you. So I highly recommend. It's a really reasonable offer, especially it's probably way too cheap, honestly, but for what he's offering. But I highly recommend you take advantage of it just to dabble into the world for a while and then see where you want to go with it. We're working with Alexander on a lot more levels now, not just because of the stuff that he does with all of the other things that he's so good at, but just his mind, tapping into that is phenomenal. So, Alexander, thank you for joining today with our group. I look forward to putting this out into our YouTube channel and to the rest of our community so that people can get the benefit from it as well. Thank you all for coming and joining us today.
Really good to see you guys.
Thank you all. We'll catch you on the next run. Alexander, again, big kudos and thanks from the bottom of our heart. We'll see you all next time. Ciao, everybody.
Peace.